Good morning and welcome to IG's early morning call on Monday, the 20th of November. Coming up on today's programme, the dollar sets a new 2-month low as traders now expect Fed rate cuts as early as next March. Also, Zoom is due to report today after the market closes. NVIDIA, HP, Best Buy also expected then on Tuesday. And the market talks of more OPEC plus supply cuts as WTI and Brent have dropped 20% in 2 months. Okay, well, let's start with a quick look at the VIX because volatility is up on the day. Let's just have a look if I can see if my chart is working this morning. Having some technical issues, I do apologize. Okay, well, it has been... Let's start. Okay, here we are. Volatility. I've got the chart here. So we can see it's up on the day, up 0.66%. However, since last Monday, volatility has been down about 26%, with investors focused on the Federal Reserve's next interest rate move. And with 30 minutes to go until the European markets open, this is how the pre-market is looking across Europe. Well, let's start with the FTSE. Let me just put it on to the 6-month chart. Okay, well, it's currently set for a lower open, down 0.11%. France's CAC 40, meanwhile, set for a higher open, up 0.06%. And Germany's DAX also set for a lower open, down 0.04%. So a mixed open for European markets. On Friday, they finished higher as weaker retail sales fueled hopes that the Bank of England will not need to raise interest rates again to lower inflation. And inflation as well in the euro area also fell sharply. However, investor sentiment clearly still very cautious. Well, overnight in Asia, the shares saw some gains supported by a rebound in Chinese markets, driven by expectations of additional government stimulus measures after the People's Bank of China injected around 80 billion yuan of liquidity into the markets. Well, we'll have more on the China Central Bank keeping key policy rates unchanged in a moment. But what about Wall Street? Well, in the US, investors will be awaiting the Federal Open Committee minutes scheduled for Tuesday, which could offer insights into the Fed's stance on inflationary pressure and its approach to monetary policy. Well, on Friday, they finished higher as weaker retail sales fueled hopes that the Bank of England will not need to raise interest rates again to lower inflation in the euro area. Sorry, I do apologize. That was related to the European markets. And then let's just have a look at, go back to Wall Street, because Wall Street registered gains after the US reported lighter than expected CPI data, reigniting hopes for a sooner end to the Fed's rate hiking cycle. The AI stock rally also continued with NVIDIA's third quarter earnings this week as well. That could continue. And talking of AI, the ex-boss of leading artificial intelligence firm OpenAI could return after he was sacked on Friday. Sam Altman helped launch the firm, which created the popular ChatGPT bot. On Friday, the board dismissed him, saying it had lost confidence in him. Reports this weekend, however, have suggested investors and employers are pushing for Mr. Altman to be reinstated. Well, in early trade, the US 500, the S&P, the US Tech 100 and Wall Street are all set for a lower open. Well, let's move on now to the day's news. We've as well with economic data. As expected, the People's Bank of China left its benchmark lending rates unchanged at the November monthly fixing. The 1-year loan prime rate was kept at 3.45% and the 5-year LPR was unchanged at 4.20%. Well, yuan weakness continues to limit further monetary easing, and policymakers prefer waiting to see the effects of previous stimulus on credit demand. Moving on to Germany now, where the producer price index fell by 0.1% in October month over month, in line with expectations. On an annual basis, PPI is also down 11%. Now let's talk about the US dollar. because this morning, well, the US dollar is down, extending its downtrend from last week. If we look at the dollar price chart, I'm afraid we are having some technical issues, but I can tell you that earlier this morning, the dollar basket, oh, here we are now, you can see it, currently down 0.11% against its peers. It set a new 2-month low, a clear early this morning, and that a clear sign that traders believe that US rates have peaked. After US inflation came in below estimates last week, market commentators are now trying to work out how soon the first rate cuts could come. Well, current futures pricing shows a 30% chance that the Fed could begin lowering rates as early as next March, with 60% expecting it to come by May. Well, moving on, and Zoom Video Communications is due to report its third quarter earnings tonight after the market closes. Well, the street expects earnings of $1.08 per share. Revenue is forecast to rise by 1.8%. to $1.12 billion. With people returning to offices, Zoom has had to offer new products. It has rolled out a few AI-powered tools to compete against its rivals, and in 2024, Zoom will be entering 2 new markets, contact center and docs, going up against Microsoft Office and Google Docs. Well, if we look at the Zoom price chart, let me just bring that up for you. Well, the all-session stock on the IG platform is up 1.12% on the day, but it's you can see its stock peaked in October 2020, mid-pandemic, when everyone was turning to video communications, and it has declined as lockdowns have ended, and it's down about 89% since that high on the 19th of October. And you can see since the beginning of this year as well, its stock has remained much lower and flat in this range we're seeing today. And as noted, it's currently up 1.12% on the day. Okay, moving on. And it will be a short week in the US because we have Thanksgiving on Thursday. However, a few big players are due to report before then. So tomorrow, NVIDIA is expected to post earnings of $3.36 per share on revenue of $16.18 billion. HP should post an earnings per share of 90 cents and revenue of $13.82 billion. And the electronics retailer Best Buy is anticipated to report earnings of $1.19 per share and revenue of $9.90 billion. Well, let's have a quick look at commodities this morning and see how Brent and US crude is doing. First of all, let's pull up the US crude price chart if we can. It's up anyway, about 0.87% on the day, trading around $76 a barrel. I'm afraid that price chart's a little bit slow to load this morning. Let's see if Brent's any better. I'm afraid it's not, but it's up 0.85% at the moment, trading around $81 a barrel. Well, on Friday, the US weekly oil rig count rose by 2 to 618. The number of oil rigs in operation rose by 6 to 500. Oil analysts are waiting for OPEC Plus meeting on Sunday, the 26th of November, and a possible decision to cut supply further after prices have dropped by almost 20% since late September. And since late 2022, Saudi Arabia, Russia, and other members of OPEC Plus have already pledged total oil output cuts of 5.16 million barrels per day, or about 5% of daily global demand. Well, let's have a quick look at spot gold if we can. Oh, yes, we can. The price chart shows as well that it's currently down about 0.08% on a day at that 1978 level. The precious metal has rebounded as the US dollar softened following lighter than expected inflation. Well, that's all we've got time for today on Early Morning Call. Thank you very much for watching, and do tune in to Beat the Street this afternoon ahead of the Wall Street Open and our Look Ahead show for all the economic news and corporate data coming up this week.